Hello everyone, my name is Ajay, and today I'll be presenting for my team JAHCS. Our team members include Andy, Caleb, Josh, and Sam, and our project is centered towards the cognitive task involved when grocery shopping. To begin, I'll explain our cognitive task and some of our initial hypotheses on the task. Our cognitive task involves a simulation of cognitive processes utilized by humans when selecting and purchasing items at the grocery store. We have narrowed down the space to include items such as milk, cheese, butter, and eggs, and many more. The team's cognitive agent accounts for purchasing factors like dietary restrictions, product experience, and emotional state, in addition to ranking factors like the relative importance of items and human behavior, which entails budget and available time. It was initially hypothesized that people made purchasing choices based on price, brand loyalty, and hunger alone. We initially assumed that brand loyalty played the largest role among all factors. This is not the case. From our interview data, we were surprised to find that brand loyalty mattered the least to most people. A key finding of our project is that people's purchasing habits are multifaceted and are subconsciously affected by countless factors. An analogy for this is chunking. Humans tend to believe that their purchasing habits are caused by only one or two reasons, due to the tendency of the mind to chunk many other factors into a few neatly packed reasons. This can be clearly observed from our interview data. Over the course of the semester, we conducted 29 interviews. We have noticed a significant change in our understanding of people's shopping habits, the explanation behind it, and how we can conduct interviews to obtain valuable information. We determined that milk, cereal, junk food, and meat were foods most people bought, and that 60 minutes is the length of an average shopping trip. Additionally, shoppers seemed to deviate from the list only when they saw something was on sale, or when they were hungry, similar to what person 4 stated. After continuing to change our interview questions, we determined that shoppers' decisions are based on brand loyalty, choosing the cheapest option, product longevity, and sale items. Thus, we begin to understand that some shoppers are loyal to brands, while others prefer cost efficiency. Next, another finding we began to see consistently was that hunger and impulsivity are highly correlated, which holds true from person 15's response when asked about how hunger affects her shopping trip. Also, we found that some people after a bad experience to reconsider the brand, but some to also never try it again. Person 27 suggested that he would give the brand another chance due to brand loyalty. However, person 29's response reflects out how he does not think twice to switch to another brand. Finally, based on later interviews, we summarized that people tend to stay in the shop as short as possible when they're angry, not buy items when they're anxious, spend less time when they're sad, and behave more impulsive when they're happy. Initially in the interview process, we thought that people's shopping behavior is very single-faceted. As the semester moved on, we realized that people can be more impulsive and emotional, and a shopping trip can be multifaceted, affected by the shopper's gender, hungriness, on-sale status, item packaging, and most importantly, shoppers' emotional states. To better support our findings, we dug into the literature, and we uncovered some interesting findings related to our study. One aspect of the project we looked into was how males and females shop differently. Research conducted by Mortimer and Clark examined how gender difference contributes to shopping behavior and store perception. Women value store characteristics such as promotion, staffing effectiveness, product availability differently than men. In another study done by Thomas and Garland, women tend to plan their shopping trip using a shopping list and shop less impulsively than men do, which was reflected in our interview data. Another aspect we investigated was when shoppers behave impulsively in the store. A study about store characteristics done by Nishinov and Ahahumunoj explains that store characteristics, including promotions, discounts, packaging attractiveness, store smell, and scent, encourages shoppers to shop more impulsively. When customers see well-packaged products, they're more likely to check out the price or other information of the product and make the purchase. Additionally, pleasant, ambient smells in the supermarket lead customers to spend more time exploring products and consequently purchase products impulsively. Finally, we looked into how emotions play a role in shopping trips. Research regarding emotions and shopping experience conducted by Matchlit shows that grocery stores intentionally induce specific emotional states to persuade shoppers to purchase certain items. These research papers support our findings that a typical shopping trip is affected by many environmental and personal factors. I will now demo our cognitive agent. First, I will run the jar file called apple JAHCS. And with this, I'm prompted with the list of items in which I can choose from. Right now, I will choose milk, yogurt, and cheese. And now, the cognitive agent has given me a detailed list of different shopping trips as well as the reasoning behind why certain items are purchased. For instance, trip 0 describes how it bought cheese using the strategy cheapest. And with this, there was a good experience, which means that the brand was generic, therefore shopper will increase likelihood of cheapest strategy being used again. And with this, the strategy matrix has been changed. And looking through this, we can see how the strategy matrix has been changing throughout the different trips and the agent's explanation for each of these. And with this concludes the demo of our cognitive agent. This UML diagram depicts a plethora of concepts that work in tandem to carry out the ultimate goal. The primary goal of the agent is to buy every item on the shopper's list. This includes sub-goals such as staying within the shopper's budget and buying items that the shopper enjoys the most or best fits their needs. These decisions are made by keeping track of the different strategies that the shopper is likely to use when deciding which product to buy. These strategies make a decision on which item to buy based on the brand, price, sales status, popularity, and freshness of the item being considered for purchase. Once the shopping trip is concluded, the shopper's experience with each individual item is evaluated, and depending on whether or not the shopper had a good or bad experience with the item, the likelihood of using that same purchasing strategy in the future for the item is increased or decreased accordingly. To better simulate the decision-making process of a human, we also opted to include emotions in the cognitive agent. We used the Love-Heim cube of emotion as a basis for a representation, where we kept track of the shopper's serotonin, dopamine, and noradrenaline levels in order to determine their current emotional state. As these levels changed, the emotional state could shift between interest, surprise, enjoyment, fear, anger, contempt, distress, or shame. These different emotional states would affect the decision-making process of our cognitive agent, including things like changing the likelihood of making an impulsive purchase, which purchasing strategy to use, and even whether or not the shopping will even go to the store that day. Here's an example of how a shopper's strategies might change over time. In these charts, we see different ways that the strategies towards buying milk were affected. As with every item, the weights for the strategy were started at random. In this case, making a decision based on brand, blue line, was the highest chance of being picked, and making a decision based on the freshness, green line, was least likely. However, during their first trip, the shopper decided to purchase the freshest milk available, and had a great experience with it. This experience increased the likelihood that the shopper will choose the same fresh strategy again the next time they buy milk, which will continue to happen and become more likely. The two times we see the shopper not use a fresh strategy are during trip 7 and 11, where they made a decision based on the brand and cheapest option respectively. Because the shopper was feeling enjoyment on trip 7 and feared running out of money on trip 11, the regular decision-making process was overruled by their emotions. Ultimately, we found that the agent tends to gravitate towards one particular strategy for each type. This supports our finding that people believe the decision-making process is a simple one, that they buy an item based on one simple strategy like the freshest option, when in reality it took a combination of many different factors and experiences. As stated before, our key finding in our project is that purchasing habits are multifaceted and are subconsciously affected by countless factors. Humans tend to believe that their purchasing habits are caused by one, which is clearly not the case because our mind tends to chunk many different factors and experiences into few neatly packed reasons. In the beginning, when we asked interviewees to give very general descriptions about their grocery trips, they summarized their experience in a very simple way, which led to generic responses. However, as the project progressed, we found that their decisions are based on many different factors present at the moment, such as shopping experiences and hungriness. Finally, at the end, we discovered that the emotional state the shopper possesses in the store is also very influential. Thus, we conclude that a typical shopping trip is multifaceted and a very complex process.